The three sort of broad guidelines are: one, just go; two is be patient; and three is pay attention. And I like this because they are simple, yet they can be applied on different levels, depending on where you are and where your mind's at and everything else.
Welcome to the LubDub Show, brought to you by the Providence Heart to Start program and the Oregon Brew running series. The LubDub Show is a weekly podcast and interactive video show where we get to talk to experts about all things running and walking. And we also get to hear from some amazing Heart to Start program champions who provide motivation and inspiration to keep all of us active and fired up and ready to go on this 12-week training journey. And also, as we begin 2021 as a community united in becoming our best, healthiest selves. My name is Nathan Freeberg. I'm the co-founder of the Oregon Brew running series. And since 2016, we've been hosting untimed, family-friendly 5K fun runs that start and end at breweries all over Oregon and Southwest Washington. And I got to say, we are just absolutely delighted to be partnering with Heart to Start for this. Our whole existence really thrives and is about community. And I know that's what the Heart to Start program is about as well. And so we're so happy to be partnering for this socially distanced training program and goal event. But we hope that the distance actually makes our hearts grow stronger. This is week 5 of the LubDub Show, if you can believe that. Be sure to go back and listen to last week's episode where we talked with Dr. Ted Foster. He shared just a word of encouragement about pushing through some of those barriers, even when we feel like we hate running and walking for fitness purposes, and kind of had just a really, I thought, inspiring and fun challenge for us. And then we also heard from Dr. Catherine Slies, and she shared some great information and resources about how to stay motivated in spite of, well, just the socially distanced way that we're all training right now. And also a lot of other great tips about taking care of our emotional well-being. She actually started her whole time by leading us through a breathing exercise, which I found myself doing a few different times over the last week. So check that out. This week, we are joined by Heart to Start champions Shannon, Sherry, and Jennifer Drew. I can see Jen is wearing a Santa hat, so she is ready to go. They're going to be sharing some really fun stuff with us. Shannon's been an avid participant in the West Portland group and proudly takes over the champion role each December for the annual festive / ugly sweater workout competition. I have to admit, I don't even own an ugly Christmas sweater or any Christmas sweater, so I'm going to have to figure that out. Shannon is an advanced practice practitioner and also the clinical coordinator for Basecamp's Pathfinders Peer Mentor Program. They'll be entering its 4th year in 2021. And Jen is also an advanced practice practitioner, and she helps lead the South Portland group that would have been in its 3rd season this year. And I'm told that these two ladies are a lot of fun, so I'm excited to have a dueling conversation with them. And later, we're going to talk to Mark Remy, who I think is the most dressed up person on this call right now. He's going to share 3 things that may help all of us either find or regain some joy through running and walking. And if you don't know who Mark is, Mark has written a whole bunch of books about running. And for many years, he was a writer and editor for Runner's World, the world's largest running publication. And in 2015, shortly after moving his family to Portland, he launched the satirical website dumbRunner.com, which is hilarious. Go check that out. Mark has run 28 marathons and more half marathons, 5Ks, and 10Ks than he can remember. Mark's actually a close personal friend of mine, and he's someone that I look up to for a variety of things. Mark always seems to be able to take these complex ideas and kind of simplify them down to their basic essence. So I think it's going to be a really helpful conversation as we talk about joy and fun and just really motivating as we keep going in this whole training program. But before we get to any of that, Tracy Rose, the Basecamp, the Heart to Start program coordinator, has a few quick announcements and updates for us. Tracy, how are you doing this evening?
I'm doing good. So excited for today. This is one of my favorites, and I'm super happy to have these two ladies join and help kick off the festivities for this week. But real quick, because I want them to have their time since we have two and we have Mark, and it's all going to be a lot of fun today. T-shirts. you've seen all of the messages. We want to get you your t-shirts. They're ordered. They will get here. We want to get them out to all of you. They're free. And we just want everyone to be able to have the team shirt this year and be able to celebrate wherever you are. And we'll get those out toward mid to end of January, so you have them before the season's over. You can celebrate with them. That's what you wear when you're doing your final goal, and hopefully it's the goal event with Nathan and his group at Oregon Brew Running Series. And we're super excited to partner with them. So go on, get registered. They have amazing swag as well. So I'm super excited that they were able to offer some things. But in various emails that went out today and the Facebook group, up on our portals, everything that you need to do to get your address and things submitted for your t-shirt. So go do that. We did hand out a prize, which was a free goal event entry last week for everyone that signed up and did theirs within the first 24 hours. So we appreciate that. We got a really good bunch of registrations for the t-shirts done that way. So thank you very much.
And I love your house there. I love all the festive Christmas stuff. Is that an Olaf hat or just a snowman?
Just a snowman. That's
Okay.
my favorite. Yeah, it kind of
like
does look like Olaf stuff.
It does, a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, you can tell I have young kids. Okay, Shannon and Jen, welcome to the LubDub show. Excited to have you here. My first question, what is an advanced practice provider? So before we get into all the fun stuff, just tell us a little bit about who you are, what you do. And Jen, I'm going to ask you to go first because I can see you on my screen. And you've got a lovely Santa hat.
I'm Jen Drew. I'm a physician assistant. And so what we do is both physician assistants and nurse practitioners get lumped together in many organizations, and we call them advanced practice providers. And so we're a little different than physicians. We're a little different than nurses. We can prescribe, we can diagnose, we help to kind of extend the reach of our physician colleagues. So Shannon and I both work with the Providence Heart Clinic. We work in the hospital at St. B's and in clinic at the office there. We round on patients, we do consults, we discharge patients, and we follow up patients in the office. And we kind of manage folks in conjunction with physicians from a cardiology standpoint. So I've been with the practice for almost 14 years now. It's crazy.
Wow.
Yeah, I haven't left the group. I must like it. And yeah, I love what I do. I love the people I treat. So it's a great group.
That's great. Shannon, do you have anything to add to that? It sounds like you guys kind of run parallel tracks here.
Yeah, no, I've been with the group for I think 16 years this year, and it's a bummer that Jen and I are actually not on the same screen together, because we love doing this sort of stuff together, and we've actually been running partners in the past for a half marathon. So I'm super excited to be here, and I'm a physician assistant as well, and we're here to support the community. It's a lot of fun.
That's great. And now I see you on screen, and I love your festive, your blinky lights. I actually have those same back here, but the battery is pretty much dead. So I think it's time I refresh those Christmas necklace lights. So here's my first question for you. We're talking about fun. We're talking about joy. You two are already, clearly bringing some of that here. I'm wondering if you can share something that you've discovered during the pandemic that's been bringing you joy lately. It doesn't have to be a huge, profound thing, but just something that's, maybe a little something that you're like, wow, this is a really cool chance to do this. Jen, I'm going to go with you again. I guess I have to call on you guys like my son's second grade teacher here.
That's right. I think what's brought me most joy, I have teenagers. I have a 17-year-old son and 15-year-old twin daughters. And I think normally during this time, we rarely have dinner together, have dinner like once or twice a week, and the kids are all off doing everything. And this has been like amazing. I have dinner with my children every night. I play ping pong almost every night. We do puzzles. There's puzzles all over our dining room table, and our ping pong table was the puzzle table. I mean, you name it, we play games. I feel like the amount of family time and the bonding that I've had with my family and my kids, which I don't think I would have had otherwise because of all their teenage funness, they get to do it with me instead. So that has brought a lot of joy, I think, to myself personally through all this craziness.
I love that. Yeah, my kids were much younger than yours, but I felt that some way, as much as it is sometimes just absolute insanity around
Yes.
here. It is important to remember that. How about you, Shannon? Anything come to mind?
Yeah, I would agree with the family. Same thing. I have two a little bit younger kids, but fort building, outdoor time, hiking with them has been great. But the one thing that I never thought that I would ever think about doing is making bread. I hear a lot of people have been making sourdough, and as have I. Really been loving it. When I was a kid, I tried to make bread and it came out like a rock. So I never thought it was possible. And it's been super fun. And I've had to step up my workout game, considering the fact that I'm eating more bread. So that's how it's going for me.
That'll do it. So your family is the reason we couldn't find yeast and flour for like 3 months. Is that how much bread did you guys made? How many loaves do you think?
I make at least 2 to 4 loaves per weekend.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, but I couldn't find yeast either.
Okay.
So I made my own sourdough starter. And
what?
So, So it's a living organism. I'm a total science nerd, and it's been amazing and so much fun.
That's awesome. Wow, good for you. We'll have to do a whole separate spin-off podcast about making your own sourdough starter. So I want to touch on, like, why did you guys get involved with the Heart to Start program? Maybe Shannon, I'll start with you this time.
Yeah, so I think that Dr. Beckerman really had an amazing idea, and originally this started with our patients, and I think watching them change their own lives was so neat to see. And so I really joined partly to support patients, but also to be part of the community and to cheer them on. I think so much of medicine is treatment with medications and diagnostics and trying to fix the problem. But so the other part of medicine that we don't talk a lot about is really prevention. And I think keeping ourselves healthy and happy. And I think that that's really, really huge and something that we should, as medical providers, really support. And so I joined initially to support our patients, and now it's more to support the community as a whole.
That's great. And happy birthday, by the way. Yesterday was Shannon's birthday. So happy birthday. Hopefully you did something fun.
Yeah, 30 again. Yes.
30 again. Yeah.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's so good. I see you've taken a trip. Is that Yosemite? Is that where you are right now?
Yes, that was what I was able to do this summer. Hit a national park with nobody else. So yeah, that was pretty amazing too.
Very cool. Jen, what about you? Why did you get involved with the Heart to Start program?
I think it was a lot of what Shannon said. I think Dr. Beckerman brings a lot of excitement to kind of running and exercise and kind of connecting with patients. I have a slightly personal reason. My dad had a heart attack back when I was still living in Atlanta at my first cardiology job out there. And so when we moved here, my dad's cardiologist is one of the cardiologists in the practice. And so I think it was kind of motivating. I brought him out to one of the first Heart to Starts when it was downtown. And I made him come with me and my kids to do some running at the track, because he used to be a runner in his younger days. And so I think part of it was to motivate my dad to get back out there and do some running. And then I think it grew into, because I lived down here in West Lynn, kind of working with Dr. Quintos to really start up a Southside group is awesome, to kind of bring that same community back to my community where I live, which is motivational.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's fun when you can have those direct connections to family members and selfishly or not, I think you're helping a lot of people. So that's awesome. That's awesome. All right, Shannon, tell us about the ugly sweater. I can't quite see how ugly your sweater is. If that's not an ugly sweater, I apologize.
It is.
Okay, good. Is that R2D2?
Well, yes.
Okay. Tell us about it. This is a really big deal with Heart to Start. So just tell us everything that there is to know about the ugly sweater contest, competition, workouts. There's a lot involved here.
So on normal years, we would meet at the track and everybody wears their attire, and normally the community goes all out. There are skirts, there are full dresses out there, not just sweaters. There is full suits of ugliness for the holidays. It's absolutely fantastic. And thankfully, Tracy typically lets me come help with that every year. And then there's usually a contest for the most amazing outfits. So loads of fun. And normally it's pouring rain, of course, and you're running around the track in full garb as well. So Yeah, this year, I can't wait to see everybody's photos from the week on Facebook as to what they're wearing, because there's some amazing socks usually out there, and hats and bells, and you name it. They come to the track usually. So I'm excited to see it in photos this year.
You guys are going to vote on this? You're going to draw some winners? How is it going to work this year? Because obviously we're not at a track.
It's a really good question. I hope Tracy's here to answer that question.
I can answer.
She's direct messaging me. Yes, go.
Here, there we go. I'll answer real quick. So yes, normally it's very scientific and it's done at the track, and all of our group workouts for Portland would do an individual identifying the winners, who's most festive. This year, since we can't do that individually, we are still offering out 3 goal event entries, but how we're going to do it is Jen gets to pick her favorite. So we'll gather all the photos, and Jen gets to pick a favorite, Shannon gets to pick a favorite, and then all others are going into one random drawing. And so anyone that posts a picture or emails it will go into that drawing. There are bonus points. So if you want an extra entry, let us see you out in public in your amazing garb and snap that photo, and you'll get your name entered twice into the drawing.
And extra points if you can match your mask to your garb and your outfit. I just made that up. Maybe we'll throw that in there. I'm excited to see this too. When do this photos need to be submitted by? I may have missed that, but just so we're all clear on that.
Absolutely. So it's for this week. So it goes through Sunday, and we'll end that, and then Monday kicks off the next photo. So Sunday, everything kind of ends for the week at 8 p.m. So get those submitted, get those posted, and then on Monday, we'll get them to Jen and Shannon, have them decide what their favorites are, and get everything announced out in the weekly email and on the Facebook group.
So 8 p.m. December 20th. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm excited to see it. So Jen and Shannon, one of the other things that we wanted you to do is just share maybe a word of encouragement or motivation as we're almost at the halfway point of this 12-week process. Like, what do you think is really helpful to share with folks right now? Is, it might be getting a little bit more work. It's rainy. It's cold. What can you leave us with here that'll really propel us through to the end? And I'll pick Jen. Go first.
I would say, like, one of my favorite memories, or kind of what I really like about Heart to Start with the group runs. It's sideways rain and all that kind of good stuff, and it's cold and it's wet and it's dark. But I always loved going, and I loved seeing people and connecting with people. And then when I got home, I was like, I wasn't really excited about this. It was going to be cold and wet and raining, and I didn't want to do it. And it was after work, and I was tired. And I would always get home and feel like that was awesome, that I felt so good. And so I think what I'd like to leave everyone with is just keep doing it, because it just, when you're finished, even though you might struggle to get there, you might struggle to get out there, it might be raining and cold, but when you're done, you feel so good. When you get to the target event at the end, you feel like you've accomplished something. So just keep at it. Every day is a new day, but just keep doing it.
I would say that I think every day is a new opportunity, and it's an opportunity instead of looking at it as a challenge. You're going to have bad days and you're going to have good days when it comes to getting healthy and exercising. And I think, making progress and attaining your goal doesn't always come easily when it comes to, particularly for running, and I think so much of it is in our heads. And if we could just get out the door, that's one step in the right direction. And if if you're breaking it down in your head, like, I'm going to get through this next couple of minutes. I think for me, that's how I get through some of the tougher runs. And I think on the easy days, you look at it and you're like, this is wonderful, this is enjoyable, and I really had a fantastic time. And on those tougher days, you just pedal through it. Jen kept, keep going, as Jen said. I think that's really the critical piece is just even that one step in front of another. We can do this, we can get it done. And I think that's kind of the most important part about moving through the progress, is seen as an opportunity instead of a challenge.
My next guest, Mark Remy, is an Ohio native, but he moved to Portland in 2014. And fun story, I actually knew of Mark before I knew Mark in person through his work at Runner's World. And a true story, I read this article that he wrote about this process of moving when he had moved to Portland, and it was about putting down roots, and it was just, it really touched me, and I showed it to my wife, like, this is amazing. And then, I don't know, several weeks or months later, found out he was going to be at the local running club. I was like, I have to go. And so I went down there and I found a way. I commented on his shoes. I think we ran together a little bit, and then a bunch of people went out for beers afterwards, and we started chatting. Turns out we live very close to each other. Like, hey, we should get together for a run sometime. And 5 years later, we are regular running buddies, and I've just really come to appreciate Mark so much and his wisdom. He's just a very thoughtful guy. And as I said at the beginning, he really can take these complicated ideas and just simplify them down to kind of their core essence. And so when we were planning the schedule, I thought Mark is a perfect person to talk about this. So Mark, first of all, how are you doing this evening there at your home? Beautiful painting in the background. Oh, no, I can't hear you. Wait, hang on a second.
I'm just kidding. I'm just messing with you. I was moving my lips.
Yeah.
Yeah, what a kind introduction. Thank you so much. And right back at you.
Thank you.
I'm good. Thanks. How are you?
You know, I'm doing well. I don't know if you've seen my COVID closet.
I was just going to comment. I've heard it described many times during runs and so on as it was being constructed. I think this might be the first time I've seen it, and it looks like it's straight out of Pinterest or something. It's delightful.
I don't want to say, maybe the Pinterest fails show if you've ever seen that, but it's very warm in here, and so like looking at all of you with sweaters on, it's just I'm very warm in here.
Yeah. For the record, my sweater is not supposed to be ugly, so keep your comments to yourself.
I wasn't going to say anything.
All right.
It is an interesting color of gray. Mark, who are you? Tell us, anything you might want to add to that bio. Just tell us a little bit more about this guy who has written, quote, many books on running, as you sent me in your bio.
Yeah, many, quote unquote. There's not much to tell beyond what you said. I moved to Portland from Eastern Pennsylvania with my family around 2014. You were correct, and met you shortly after. And we spent many miles running together and commiserating and venting and kvetching and everything else. So it's been good. Yeah, I'm a writer and editor and part-time house husband now, I guess, and distance learning tutor and everything else. So. Yeah, make and do.
You're a man of
and I still run here and there.
talents.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, we try and bike, and sometimes Mark literally runs errands, and so that's fun. So
I
Mark,
did that yesterday. It's highly satisfying.
There you go. Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, so our topic tonight is finding joy in running. How? What's the magic formula? I think you've cracked it a little bit. I know that you and I have had this conversations 3 times formally, many times informally. What would you share with us tonight? I know that, there's lots of ways to answer this, but what are perhaps 3 things that you found to kind of get back to, this running, this walking, and I should clarify for fitness.
Yeah.
What is it?
Yeah. Well, just let's just call it moving your body, which
I like that.
Increasingly is, harder and harder somehow with everything is so easy. We all have our screens and everything is kind of streamlined and done for us. It's easy to forget that our bodies are meant to move, right? So I think you were kind of teeing me up there for my 3 things you need to know. So thanks for that softball setup.
Oh, interesting.
What Nathan's referring to, Nathan is again being kind and kind of queuing me up for this thing that I wrote a few years back around this time of year, called "All You Need to Know to Begin Running." Really, parenthetically, and the gist of the article, I'll try to keep it brief, is that I've been not just running, but writing and editing and thinking about running for most of my professional life, and so that's like going on 20-something years now. And for the longest time, I was part of that world, and by which I mean like the publishing kind of marketing sort of business side of running, and they're all kind of like in bed together, which is fine. I was kind of part of that ecosystem, and that ecosystem has a way of kind of bombarding you with information and tips and guidance and coaching and do's and don'ts. And, are you doing this wrong? Here are 5 things you should eat. And, here's how to run on a treadmill, and, do this, don't do that. And it can be a real intimidating fire hose of information. And, over time, it just dawned on me that most of that info, if not all of it, is delivered in good faith from good people who really are trying to help you. But in the end, a lot of times, frankly, it's not helpful. And if you could sort of like take all of that stuff collectively, and as Nathan said earlier, sort of distill it and boil it down. From my own perspective, I came up with these 3 things. They're not tips, they're not do's and don'ts, they're not anything like that. They're just 3 guidelines. And the more I thought about it, the more I really liked these 3 guidelines, because I think they apply to every person, whether you're a walker or a runner or a cyclist or whatever, or just one who wants to move more. They apply to people just starting, or people who have been doing it for a little while, or people who've been doing it for 2 decades like I have. And the 3 sort of broad guidelines are: 1, just go. And I'll elaborate a bit in a moment. 1 is just go. 2 is be patient. And 3 is pay attention. And I like this because they are simple, yet they can be applied on different levels, depending on where you are and where your mind's at and everything else. So the just go is kind of self-explanatory. Like it's a total cliche, but the first step is the hardest. And I mean that pretty literally. Like you need to, if you're ever just like sitting in a chair, you want to get out for a run, you can't get motivated, stand up and take a step, like literally 1 step. And that's kind of how things work. It's inertia, like movement leads to movement. And before you know it, you're out the door, you got your shoes on and you're going, and that's half the battle. 2 is be patient, which means just don't expect results right away. Don't try to do too much too fast. That's a surefire way to hurt yourself or get burned out, or both. And 3 is just pay attention. Pay attention to your body and the cues that it sends you. It will tell you if you're doing too much too fast. It's easy not to listen to it, but you should try to listen to it. And pay attention to the world around you as well, not just for safety reasons. Like you want to pay attention for cars coming at you or crazy cyclists or whatever, but pay attention to just the world and how lovely it can be. Whether you're running on a trail in Forest Park or just through your neighborhood, beauty is out there, and you just have to open your eyes and notice it. So you should. And if you cultivate those 3 things and you are diligent about that and conscientious about it, I think it's going to get you where you want to go.
I think the first time I heard you talk about that, or we talked about it in a run, I was kind of coming out of the season of my life. I think we only had 1 child at that point. I now have 4. But I was so into training for marathons, and all of those tips and tricks and 5 do's and don'ts. To me, it felt like a part-time job that I really didn't like, yet I loved, like, I don't know, working in fast food or just something that was like, oh, I just have to do this. And I remember like we were talking about some of these things, and that idea of like, don't wear a watch, like go out in a cotton shirt, like some stuff that I would just never think about doing. But the more that I kind of peeled back some of that complexity, the more I found that I did enjoy it. And the last marathon I did was almost by accident, because of Mark's advice, I was kind of running all of these road races just for fun. I wasn't really training. I wasn't like, eating the 5-step meal plan the night before and the morning of, and I was running really good times. And I think it was because I was just having fun. But if you look at the blog posts accompanying this, there's a picture of Mark and I running the Gorge Half Marathon. In that particular one, I hadn't trained for, I don't know how much Mark had trained for, but we have these huge smiles on our faces because it was just this beautiful scenery. We're going up this hill. We both had great times. We had this unlimited taco bar at the end, and it was so much fun. Do you remember this? You know what I'm talking about?
Oh, yeah, of course.
And so, Mark, and where I'm going with this is like it's easy to say this, but how do you practically do this? I know this is going to be a difficult question for you to answer for all of us, but maybe just in your own life, how have you kind of peeled back all those layers of complexity, perhaps one at a time, to kind of find joy, to be more at peace, to be just really liking going out for a 2-mile run or a 10-mile run if it strikes your fancy?
Man, you're right. That is a hard question to answer.
I know, I'm hard
hitting
questions.
Spot. I appreciate it. No, yeah. I wish I had a pat answer for that, and I just don't. I don't know. I go back to number 2, be patient. You just have to be patient. I just kind of got there. I think so my own sort of arc in my running life it's not really something that anyone else could replicate if they wanted to, because I started my running way back before the internet as we know it even existed. I'm older than I look, folks, and maybe I'm not. I don't know, but I started like 100 years ago, man, and I just sort of like learned by trial and error, and I went through. I should add that I went through a phase of glomming onto all those tips and do's and don'ts that I just alluded to a minute ago. Like I went through that myself, and I've kind of come out the other side after so long. So if you're asking like how does somebody maybe beginning today or who began 1 or 2 or 3 years ago, how did they get to that place? I'll be honest, I don't really know, except to just try your best to cultivate simplicity, and by the way, that doesn't mean throwing away your running watch. It doesn't mean like never buying another new running jacket or something. Like I happen to love running jackets. I have too many, it's like I'm a big believer in the power of a new pair of shoes, and they can give you a boost, or even a new pair of socks or something. Like I'm not anti buying stuff for running. Or anything like that. I'm just of the mind now where the most important thing isn't the jacket or even the new shoes, the latest and greatest or whatever. Definitely not the watch and tracking every minute of every run and charting it and so on and sharing it. Although if that works for you, that's fine too. It's just about the run. It's about getting out the door and enjoying yourself, and to circle back to what you said a while ago, by the way, Nathan, I don't want to get overly cheesy or schmaltzy myself, but I've got to say, and the whole pandemic thing, the whole COVID thing has kind of brought this into sharp relief for me. The biggest tip I would give anybody, and the biggest thing I'm grateful for, I think, is just having a buddy to do it with. I'm not just saying this. If I didn't have you to text the night before, hey, want to run tomorrow? It'd be way too easy to stay in bed, to sleep in, and like I'll run later. Then you don't run at all, and then before you know it, it's 3 days later with 0 miles. And having like a buddy, a partner, a friend that can keep you accountable and can be there with you. Today, of course, socially distanced and following all the protocols. Far and away is the number one bit of advice I would give anybody, beginner or otherwise, as far as like sticking with running and getting out there and really getting everything out of it that you can, for sure.
Yeah, thank you, and I agree.
I think I just very artfully avoided answering your question in any sort of direct way, but I feel good about it.
No, I think it's good because I think what you're ultimately telling people to do is kind of find that thing in running or walking for them that is maybe the reason. I mean, last week we talked with a psychologist that was talking about, find motivation, like go back to your values and figure out like, why am I doing this? What is it? I love the idea of, keeping it simple and noticing things. I mean, just paying attention in your neighborhood. I mean, the other day I saw a new house that I'd never seen before, just a few blocks from our house. Like, that is a really cool house, the architecture and everything else. And it was just really, it was really cool. So Mark, the last question, what is something that is just bringing you joy right now? It can be running related or not, family related, just anything right now that it could even be something today. You're like, you know what, this IPA, I think I saw you drinking earlier. This is just really bringing me joy. I have a bunch of
what is an IPA. It is bringing me joy, but I won't talk about that. I was laughing a minute ago because as you were saying, what brings you joy? I heard my door crack open, my office door, and my 7-year-old boy wearing his gingerbread man jammies peeked in, and then closed the door behind him and left again. So he brings me joy. My family brings me joy. What brings me joy? Beer does bring me joy. I enjoy a nice beer, as you know. I think you do too. Man, do you want me to help you out? Because there's one thing you haven't stopped talking about in the last couple of weeks, Mark. I was anticipating this and I had some notes jotted down. So let's see if your answer jives with my answer. Okay. Not to interrupt you, but. No, go ahead.
The kittens.
The kittens is number one on my list.
Good. Okay.
We
Tell us
got
about
two.
the kittens.
We adopted 2 kittens. So yeah, long story short, we've always been a pet family. Me and my wife and I adopted a rescue dog when he was 2 months old. That was 12 plus years ago now. So he predates our children. My wife had 2 cats when I met her, and they've sadly both passed. We adopted another adult cat a few years back. Basically a couple months ago, 2 or 3 months ago now, some folks on a Facebook group my wife belongs to had some kittens up for adoption. She's a foster mom, and my wife left a comment that said like, "Oh, they're adorable, but I don't think we're ready for kittens." And I saw the same picture, and I replied to my wife's comment like, "Well, maybe we are." And long story short, a few weeks later, we visited the kittens and gone through the various hoops, and now we have 2 kittens who are adorable, and they're a true source of joy in every sense of the word. They really are. They don't know anything about running. They don't know anything about the pandemic. They don't know anything apart from being wide-eyed about everything that's happening around them and loving to play and sleep. It's a brother and a sister, and they're adorable together, and the kids love them, and we all love them together, and it's fun. And when I'm with them, I forget about running and the pandemic and all that kind of stuff too. So it's win-win-win, you could say. Yeah.
I love that.
Kittens bring me joy. Yeah. Your mileage may vary.
Well, and part of why I asked you that question, and Jen and Shannon, is because I'm not a cat person. I'm not a dog person. I don't really like animals. I know that makes me not a great human, but just watching how excited you get and are getting about these kittens and just how much joy it's bringing you, that brings me some joy. And I think if we can all do perhaps a better job of sharing around with the people near us, like this, I'm really excited about this little thing, however trivial or big or small, I think that's maybe one way that we can all kind of infuse some more positivity in our lives. So Mark, thank
contagious.
you.
Yeah.
It is, exactly.
In a good way, for sure. Yeah.
In a good way, for sure. Exactly. Well, Mark, thank you so much. I appreciate the chat. I know that we're meeting in the morning for a run. There is a great article on Mark's website, dumbRunner.com, about, I'm not going to bring it up here, but it's just kind of about the morning process of 2 running buddies and how they prepare for a run. And it's really funny and basically a direct copy and paste from Mark and I's morning text. So you'll have to go check that out. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. The LubDub podcast brought to you by Providence, Heart to Start in the Oregon Brew Running Series. We're excited to enjoy the goal event with you in February. So have a good evening. Happy running. Happy walking. Stay safe.
Thank you.
Bye.
Good night, everyone. Cheers.